vividly recall the plane ride down to North Carolina to join Johnson Service Corps. I had recently graduated from Goucher College with a degree in religion and had finished with a profound uncertainty about where I was going. My only known destination was Chapel Hill, North Carolina, a city and state where I had never been before and about which I knew absolutely nothing. What I recall about that plane ride was a very specific thought I had while we were in the air. I thought, God, I hope something comes of this. My fear was that I would join JSC, complete a very meaningful year, and end up exactly where I started, having no idea what came next. I yearned for a sense of direction, of purpose, and of clarity. And my biggest hope for the program was that it would be the first beginning of a series of beginnings, and that maybe I wouldn't have to think my way so hard through this life, that instead I could feel my way through it with ease and intuition. So, fast forward to now. My internship with JSC turned into a full-time job that I've held ever since, until this past Friday when I stopped working for vacation. But more than a full-time job, it turned into a career path, really a life path, founded upon a newfound awareness of how my strengths translated into service. Most influential in my internship with JSC, though, which was at Freedom House Recovery Center, was the realization that our work can indeed be a platform for our spiritual growth. I think I had known, but I hadn't had the words for it during my very angsty plane ride to North Carolina, that what I wanted most for myself was a life of integration, one in which my work days are spent in a mutual learning process between myself and other people, and where I'm challenged and empowered to use my spiritual tools and move ever closer to a life inspired by love without conditions. Over the course of the last 3 years, since my arrival to North Carolina and to the Johnson Service Corps, my understanding of spirituality has evolved rather dramatically. It has become much less tied to a particular tradition or heritage, and instead has become the process by which I expand my capacity to choose love over fear, over and over, as much as possible. It is a practice, literally, it takes a lot of practice, of gratitude, a willingness to look inward and make friends with all of my messy and beautiful stuff, and expand the same compassion outward. It is a nuanced understanding of my own boundaries and a genuine respect for the boundaries of others. It is most fundamentally an expanding awareness of whatever's going on and a non-judgmental acceptance of whatever that situation, emotion, thought, or sensation is. My spiritual life is simply and wholly my life, inhabited by a spirit of awareness, acceptance, and love. Since my year with JSC, I've developed a regular yoga and meditation practice, and I've invested in spiritually supportive communities and relationships. These practices, which call for consistency and diligence, support me as I venture into the messiness of work, family, and social life. The more committed I am to my practices, the more skillful I am as I navigate my professional and personal relationships, and the more intimate and loving I become with myself. To be skillful means to say no when I mean no, and to say it kindly, to know what is or is not my business, and to empower instead of control, to listen fully, to own and apologize for my mistakes, and to accept that I will do none of this perfectly. My theology, my understanding of God, has quite naturally evolved alongside my practice. To choose love over fear, I now understand, is to open myself to God. It requires courage on my part to see through my own loud ego and glimpse the universal connectivity, to act in a way that reflects that unity and supports the freedom and well-being of others and myself. Sometimes I find that courage, and sometimes I don't. But when I do, and I'm momentarily unburdened by fear, I am moved by love, and therefore, I'm aligned with God.
Good.
Lately, my prayers have simply been a calling out, sometimes literally, for that courage. Please let me have the courage to choose love over fear in this moment. I'll give you an example. I'm home alone on a Friday night, when all around me the world seems to be bubbling with social activity. I feel lonely. My ego pipes up about how unacceptable it is that I'm home alone on a Friday night. It tells me that if I spend the night in solitude, I'm a total loser and no one wants me. Moments like the one I'm describing are where the rubber hits the road in my spiritual development. I am faced with the decision to either do whatever I can to avoid the very unpleasant sensation of loneliness and self-criticism, urgently call 10 friends and hope one of them will agree to spend the evening with me, or turn on the TV and watch the first mindless but riveting show I can find. Anything to feel better. Or to pause, breathe, and ask for courage to first wholeheartedly accept the reality of the situation, and then to make a mindful decision about how I want to care for myself. Sometimes the most loving decision is to watch TV. Spiritual growth has nothing to do with avoiding trashy TV. I should put that out there. It has everything to do with why I'm watching TV.
That's right.
Am I running from something? Or do I truly need to rest my mind? Am I using the company of another to flee loneliness? Or am I allowing myself to ask for help? This is the discernment practice by which I'm coming ever so gradually to know myself more deeply and to develop awareness, relax into acceptance, and choose love.
Good.
Where better to practice than at Freedom House Recovery Center, where individuals in recovery from substance misuse and abuse begin the process of exploring their own spiritual identities and cultivating awareness, acceptance, and love without relying on the coping mechanisms of drugs or alcohol. Their effort at sobriety inspires my own efforts towards emotional sobriety, the commitment to experiencing what is without relying on the distractions and escapes that are available to me.
That's right.
The Johnson Service Corps has proved to indeed be the first of a series of beginnings. I look to the future now with very little anxious thought, and instead with great curiosity and trust. My work at Freedom House has led me now to pursuing my master's degree in social work, which I'll begin at UNC this fall.
Amen.
That decision came not from my brain, but from my gut and intuition, with the knowledge that mindful step by mindful step, my path will unfold before me. It feels now as if I'm riding a momentous wave. My part is to relax and allow myself to be moved.